traveling salvation show in a village near Wittenberg. And right about this time, and Luther just couldn't stand it anymore. Now, when he does this, of course, Luther is pretty immediately asked to stop it. Stop it. And he has a protector. It was good if you were an academic or a theologian or an artist to have a protector. And that was somebody who was high up in power. And Luther's protector was an older man known as Prince Frederick. He became known as Prince Frederick the Wise of Saxony. Luther was one of his subjects. He liked Luther. And Frederick had one of the biggest collections of relics in Europe. Relics were very important. There were touring shows of relics also that went from village to village and town to town. And different wealthy and important and powerful people had collections of relics. They would send people to the Holy Land and other places to find them and bring them back. You know, it would not only be something like the Shroud of Turin, but it would be like one thorn from the crown of Jesus. You know, it would be something like one thread from the hemline of Mary's gown. Now, of course, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. It didn't matter, but people paid to see it when it came around. Frederick had an incredible collection of relics, and he was very proud of it. And of course, Luther said to Frederick, you know, I love you, I love what you've done. Frederick kind of endowed Luther's seat at the university, but Luther said, what? This is nonsense. This is just absolute nonsense. You know, I'm sorry to hurt your feelings or anything. And eventually, Frederick gets rid of most of his relics. But Luther is threatened with excommunication by 1520. And he is asked over and over again by the Pope and by emissaries to recant what he has said. In other words, to take back, to repudiate what he has written and what he has stated. And so in 1521, Luther is called to a diet. This is a gathering of government princes and kings and papal emissaries. All of these people come together, and it's all about Luther and what Luther has stirred up. And they recognize it has to be put to an end. And Luther is asked, the charges are written against him, they're read, and he is asked, do you recant these things? And Luther says, I will not recant, and here I stand, so help me God. I'm not taking it back. So he's been excommunicated, and after this, those people who are supporters of Luther, including Frederick the Wise, decide that Luther's life is in danger and something has to happen. Luther is kidnapped. It's a fake kidnapping. He is taken by men from Frederick the Wise, and he is taken to one of Frederick's castles, and he stays there for several years, and until kind of the winds blow over and die down. And what he's doing, he's translating the New Testament from Greek and Latin into German. This is important because you had to speak Greek or Latin, or at least be able to read it, and Hebrew to really be able to read the Bible. People could not read the Bible in their own language. So what you knew about Scripture and what you knew about faith, what you knew about justification or works or anything else, was what someone else taught you. There was no such thing as a Bible study or a Sunday school class. It's what you were told, and you didn't question it. And so Luther thought it was very important that people be able to read and hear the Scripture in their own language. And a few years later, Luther translates the Hebrew Old Testament into German. Now there's a number of things going on here because of this. Why is it not a good thing that people have the ability to read Scripture or hear it in their own language.
Because, they're controlled.
You don't control them anymore. Right. And then the printing press is good in the ways that the church wants to use it, or that the government wants to use it, but anybody can use it. What's bad about that? Anybody can say anything, and it's out there. So it stirs up. The internet, right. That's what it, it just stirs people up, and all kinds of things are spread around. It was the same idea, the same thing.
Therefore is right.
Yeah, right. It's just, it makes it really hard to control people. And we've seen what has happened with the web and the internet and tweets and everything of what happened in the Middle East just since the beginning of this year, the revolutionary fervor